Hey everyone, welcome back to Financial Freedom Friday, where we talk about tips and strategies to help you achieve financial freedom. My name is Nate Scott. Happy to be here again with you. Today we're going to talk about emergency funds, and specifically why you probably ought to rethink where you're holding your money. So if I went and asked an average person where most of their money is held, most of the time they say, well, it's kind of locked up here and there, whether it's invested in retirement programs like 401ks, IRAs, or real estate or something. Most of the time it's locked up somewhere. And so they say, well, it would make sense then if all my money is locked up here in these things, that I should probably have some money that's not stuck someplace, because I want to make sure if a crisis happens, that's of course what an emergency fund is, I can access it. So, you talk to the financial gurus like Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman, and a lot of those will say it's good to have about 6 months of your expenses saved up, and that's what they call an emergency fund. So it's definitely wise to not have all your money locked up. And so they'll tell you maybe 6 months. So if something drastic happens financially, you'll be able to cover the catastrophe, whatever it would be, losing your job or something like that. So they say it's good not to have all your eggs in those 401ks, IRAs, blah, 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 wherever your money's invested in, and have some in cash. And I couldn't agree more. I think it's vitally important to have money liquid available to you that's not at risk. I think it's vitally important. In fact, it's not only important, but I think it makes you feel good. In fact, I just saw a study that said that people who had more money in their checking accounts or savings accounts, liquid cash, were financially, they felt happier, they felt better about where they were than people who maybe actually had more money, but it was just stuck in other places. Like, actually having cash makes you feel good, makes you feel confident. So I think it's definitely important. The problem is not having cash. The problem is not your emergency fund. The problem is that we haven't really thought to think outside the box when it comes to our emergency fund. And so we're just inside the box, and I honestly, to be inside the box in just regular bank accounts where most people have emergency funds, it's costing you easily $100,000, or will cost you easily $100,000 or more over the rest of your life. Huge money, we're saying. And so that's what I'm here to talk to you about, is that for most people, the emergency fund, the key attributes are they're just two simple ones. An emergency fund needs to be safe, and it needs to be liquid or easily accessible. It's got to be extremely liquid, it's got to be safe. And so if those are really the only two key attributes of an emergency fund, is liquid and safety, why are we only thinking of bank accounts when we think of emergency funds? Most people, that's the only thing they know, so of course that's what they're going to use. But if you've been with us for any period of time, you'll know that a whole life insurance policy built for banking, the purposes we're talking about, can fit all the criteria of being safe and being very liquid. And I honestly am here to share with you that it's going to make you a couple $100,000 more probably over the rest of your life by changing where you're located at. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw some numbers down for you so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Let's just say that your emergency fund of saving 6 months of your expenses up is like $40,000 to $50,000, something like that. That's what it costs you and your family to live for 6 months or so. And so we've got that nicely following the program, stuck in a savings account or checking account, ready to move at any point. And you come talk to us and you say, well, that policy sounds really great for banking. And you say, well, maybe I should move my emergency fund into it. So I wanted to share with you that over a 30-year period, I ran the numbers, over a 30-year period of time, let's say we moved that money into a policy and use that as our new emergency fund instead of just having a checking or savings account. That, by changing where it was at, without taking any additional risk, and without losing any liquidity whatsoever, you were able to earn it somewhere between $100,000 to $150,000 that you would really be missing out on over the next 30 years if you just kept the emergency fund where it's at. Not only would you be out $100,000, $150,000 or more, depending on how big your emergency fund is and how long your time horizon is, but you also, by switching, would get a death benefit to boot, kind of like an added bonus. Not only the cash, but man, if that doesn't make you cringe, I don't know what will. So my encouragement to you today is to really reconsider what you're doing with that liquid money, with that emergency fund money, and instead of just having it sitting around in a bank account earning essentially zero, maybe we ought to, as long as it's safe and liquid, ought to transition out of it. A policy fits every attribute that you would want in an emergency fund and can make you a lot more money. So that's my encouragement to you today, is really think outside the box. You still need to have liquid cash. I love liquid cash, but maybe reconsider where it's at. And remember, if you don't build your financial freedom, nobody's going to do it for you. So let's get to work. We'll see you next week.